Tell me, do you block in Battlegrounds? Do you block in Battlegrounds? Welcome to what I think is going to be a really interesting video. It actually is, because it's a very relevant topic, especially if you play Battlegrounds, have an opinion on Battlegrounds, don't like Battlegrounds, and like throwing your device when you get really angry. Certainly not the last point. I wanted to make this video for a little while, especially with the rise of this. 7-star champions, as you know, have, at the point of a defender stat focus, a block penetration of a certain amount, which is this flat rate of 166 for all of them. I haven't really checked. It's always important to check these things, but you know what it's like. One never does, especially when I've got stuff like physical resistance. Yeah, I think they're all the same. Now, certain people will set up their certain champions in different ways. Should I have block penetration for Shuri like this? Yes, I can't set that at the moment because I think she's in war, but that's definitely something I should have done. Instead, I've gone with physical resistance, which may be the wrong thing. I don't know why I have that set. But a lot, if not most people who have 7 stars will set up with the stat focus of block penetration. Meaning that in certain things like PvP, well, PvPE is not really PvP, but in these areas like Alliance Wars, Defense, and also with Battlegrounds, it is important to set up your defender with stat focus of block penetration. What you do with your hacker stat focus is completely up to you, because there's different ways to kind of play around. Critical rating means you get more of this or more of Y, more armor rating of this makes you do this or that. Having whatever may interact in a different way when it comes to stat focus. So set up how you look at it. But the stat focus of block penetration is a very relevant topic, and we're going to look at that in a second with some footage. But the reason I'm making this video to kind of talk about this is a really interesting point. About a month ago, funnily enough, Kabam Crash says, I think similar to Torch, it's most likely because your loop requires you to block, and with the upper ranks full of rank 2, rank 3 defenders with block penetration stat focus, you often take too much damage. Even in an ideal matchup, Archangel is still useful, but definitely not an auto include in a lot of metas, and that seems to be a very relevant point. And that's as well, like the main point about Battlegrounds is finishing in the most ideal conditions possible. Time is important, but also making sure that you end on 100% health is probably more important. More points can be got by being at 100% health at the time finish. But of course, if your enemy that you're playing against finishes in a kind of shorter time frame, then of course they're going to get the win. Whilst going up against anybody in Battlegrounds, you'll be able to see if they have that kind of marker of a block penetration, which of course is going to be important. Now, this isn't a great example, but this is my first ever match of the season. So this is, yes, because it's I think it's my first ever match. It could be one of the very first matches. Yes, no, it is the first ever match of this particular Battleground season. And I'm going to go over like me finding my feet, but also it's important for me to showcase, hey, still using the same champions, yes, but also using not particularly good play. And I want to go from bad play to good play. So you can see, like, block-wise, I'm doing some blocks. Like, in this particular little segment of footage, there's a block. Is that wise to do? If this champion had block penetration, which it doesn't, and obviously I eat to the face a bit of damage there, if it had block penetration, it would have meant that my health would be a little bit lower at the point of this finishing. Now, I do win this, which is great, which you can see there. Boom. And then I go on to Human Torch. So those are two champions. Like, well, Human Torch is a good example because obviously I eat some damage there, which isn't ideal. And as I said, the bad to the good. We go from the bad to the good. But the champion requires me to be like, okay, parry heavy, or at least kind of just watching a champion a bit more. I eat some damage there. It's very bad. But as I said, this is my first fight, and we always need to go from the bad to the good. And this is all about going, well, relying on your block isn't a great thing at times, but timing is so important. It's not my finest work, but we go from the not so finest work to better work, and better work when it comes to getting things locked down within. Again, these champions we're going up against aren't going to be the creme de la creme, but it's just a case of setting an example of going, I need to play better. I mean, we know that, but also I need to be intercepting more, which we'll get this season, a true strike, and we'll talk about this season's meta and how that reflects into why blocking isn't exactly a great trait to have, but it's something that, you know, I'm not I need to kind of like play, but also not feel too stressed. And that's another thing as well with the game. Okay, so here we go with some hopefully better play. First of all, don't take anything into the block. I then do a little bit of an intercept right there. I then do it again. And then I'm going to be, again, quite aggressive going into an SP1 right off the bat. I am going to be holding my block, but I'm getting my timings in, going into a striker, which is there because the spirit gauge, I think, is a little bit more ramped up. We're going to go like that. I'm going to go into a block, but then bait out the heavy attack, going in again, and 5-hit combo, and it's done just as quickly as that. So there we go. That's kind of like Rich is kind of like better. That's a bad example there, but I think that with surveying and also having the right champion, because Bullseye is really great on an attacking front for the meta because he's a miscounter, and because he's a miscounter, it completely bypasses Falter. It makes him quite a unique option, taking on the likes of Spot and the likes of other champions because he plays into having a clarity, the clarity interaction to House of Mirrors. The great thing about this is indeed picking up the win, which I do, which, you know, fantastic. But that again doesn't set a great example because I am outstacking the person I'm going up against. But that again is like how the matchmaking is at the moment. The point is trying to find the right counters, but also trying to avoid that kind of block, because if that Morbius had that block penetration, which I'm pretty certain it didn't, it of course would kind of eat a bit of damage, and that's tough. That Storm fight against Kate Bishop was a great example as to, look, you're going to have to intercept if you want to avoid any kind of chip damage, and the best conditions finishing to be at 100% is unfortunately the way to go. That's why blocking has been, and I'm not talking about blocking defenders or kind of banning, right? No, this is all about blocking, well-timed blocks, and how this is a bit of an issue if you are trying to go, I must go and play intercepts against a champion that has block penetration as a 7-star. Now, there are ways around this whole kind of predicament of blocking, and that's regen-based champions. King Groot is one of my favourite champions in-game because it's a survivability champion. I have him as a rank 4 200 signature ascended champion. I should rank 5 him, but I'm being very careful with my resources nowadays because I need to make key decisions. But if this champion the Korg was a Pierce stat focused defender, then I could have had a bit of trouble. However, though, regen from this champion, which is quite extensive at a 200 signature, can be very helpful. And making those key decisions to go, hey, I can use Korg for this because he's a survivability, sustainability champion, gives me more of an edge to go, it was a long fight, but I ended at 100% health. And that is something that's kind of quite cool about the champion as well. So there are ways around it. If you're feeling that you are one to block in these particular fights, then feel that maybe champions that have regen as part of their kit, willpower, of course, that mastery can help you have that sustainability and survivability, which I think bypasses it. However, though, the further you get up Gladiator Circuit, the more experienced and skilled players of Battlegrounds will look to block less. It's sometimes unavoidable to do block, an input, missed input may kind of lead them into the block. Which, of course, the more you go up Gladiator Circuit, you will find high skilled players, but also you'll find the most demon of rosters that will be rank 2, rank 3, 7 stars, and will be just frustrating in defense. And because they're frustrating in defense, those lovely little stat focuses of Pierce will come to bite you on the bottom. And you'll see a lot more setup like this. You'll also see a lot more that will be frustrating for you because, you know, there'll be some small margins of errors, and that is going to be, a little bit annoying. But that was it's an interesting concept to now go at something so minute as going, your playstyle has to change in Battlegrounds. It's kind of a unique twist, but it's a unique twist that Kabam have created. I think Kabam create these things in order to kind of allow us to adapt to them and find new strategies and things like that. Especially if Kabam crashed, who of course plays a lot more in the, more strategic, deeper, I'd say more competitive areas than other Marvel Contest of Champions devs. I'm sure there's probably ones out there that do play maybe higher competitive level than them. I've definitely seen them in the past. So It's really cool to note that in this day and age that you can look at something like Battlegrounds, know that there are command devs that actually play this, but also kind of understand the relevancy of certain things. Blocking is sometimes avoidable in game. It is something that is a fine art and strategy to play, to go, hey, I need to intercept more frequently. But it's definitely a topic that I'm excited. I'm glad I did this video because I wanted to make it for a while, and it does feel that the further you go, you've got to be good with your intercepts in order to get the win. But I'll throw it to the comment section. Do you block in Battlegrounds? And if you enjoyed that, it's a little Batman versus Superman reference right there. Yeah, thanks very much for watching this video, and check out some other content located on screen. Good luck in your Battleground seasons, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.